Tonight, from bad to worse, minority in parliament slams President John Mahama's efforts to deal with illegal mining as lacking political will, describing his recent meetings with CSOs as unproductive and a publicity stunt.
He offered no alternative. He only assembled people who primarily will come and sing praises for him for an effort he hasn't put in anything to the fight against illegal small-scale mining known as Galamsey, but only to douse down the demands of his rhetorics when he was in opposition to call for a state of emergency. So it was only a praise singing choir that he assembled on that day.
Tonight, we engage the minority, government and CSOs over issues arising from last Friday's meeting. My name is Fostina Sarfo. Top story, as always, is brought to you by Telecel, Connecting Energies. Thanks for staying with us. Tonight, the minority caucus in Parliament has criticized President John Mahama's recent meeting with civil society organizations on illegal mining, accusing him of attempting to cover up his government's failures in tackling the Galamsey menace. The caucus claims that the meeting was a mere publicity stunt. The minority alleges that government's efforts have been limited to renaming policies and programs introduced by the previous administration rather than taking bold and effective action. They are calling on civil society organizations, the clergy, traditional leaders, and all stakeholders to speak out against the government's inaction. They are also urging President John Mahama to demonstrate real political will and take bold, consistent, and effective action to combat the illegal mining menace. Well, let's broaden the conversation here on Top Story. They have put out a statement, and my colleague Michael Ashali joins me in the studio with details of that statement. Michael, what exactly are their concerns?
Firstly, this is a 5-page statement, and must say, and they put it into 3 major categories. First, what they make of the current fight against illegal mining, and then the second part about necessarily head-to-head between John Dramani Mahama and former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And then the final part of the statement where they talk about what they expect from the current government to deal with the illegal mining menace. So if you take this statement and go to the second paragraph, that is exactly where they sort of start the attack on the current government. It says that it is obvious that the Galamsey menace keeps worsening by the day. We are therefore surprised that amid increasing turbidity levels and the alarming browning of our water bodies, the heavy contamination of soils and food crops, as recently confirmed by the joint report by Pure Earth and the Environmental Protection Agency Authority now, the wanton destruction of our forest resources and the indiscriminate degradation of our lands, the President of the Republic could look into the eyes of Ghanaians and tell us he is winning the fight against illegal mining. It continues to say that instead of dealing decisively with the looming crisis, as promised when in opposition, the government has resorted to publicity gimmicks to sway the minds of unsuspecting Ghanaians from his failures. Without a doubt, this government lacks the political will to fight Galamsey and has merely resorted to the renaming of policies and programs introduced by the Akufo-Addo government. And for this is exactly where they end that conversation on the meeting that we know happened last Friday between government and some CSOs within the industry that have been calling for an end to the illegal mining menace. From here, this is where they begin to tell us what exactly they thought John Dramani Mahama has not been able to do that former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was able to do. They take us through almost 3 pages of things they thought he has done, to even to the extent where they talk about the things Akufo-Addo did that John Mahama has only repurposed or rebranded and is bandying around as though it's a policy of his. We'll run through some of them. They go on to talk about the fact that in the last couple of years, at least from what they say in their statements, in the last 1.5 years, Akufo-Addo put a stop to illegal mining, at least from what they say, and they made reference to the ban on small-scale and illegal mining on river bodies and in forests. And they go on to say that in Akufo-Addo's tenure, he established the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining to coordinate the fight against illegal mining, launched Operation Vanguard, again in partnership with George Grant University of Mines Technology, Takwa University, trained some 4,000 small-scale miners to undertake responsible and environmentally sound small-scale mining practices, amended the Mineral and Mining Act 2006 Act 708 to enhance the punishment for offenses relating to illegal mining. They're going to say these measures helped the then Akufo-Addo government to come to grips with the illegal mining menace. Subsequently, government adopted a two-pronged approach to deal with the canker. One, they say he declared water bodies as red zones for all illegal mining activities and banned all reconnaissance, prospecting and or exploration activities in forest reserves except in exceptional circumstances. Again, this remained in place until former President Akufo-Addo left office. Again, introduced Operation Halt 2 in partnership with the Ministry of Defense to rid river bodies and forest reserves of illegal mining, arrest persons engaged in these illegalities, and where necessary, decommission mining equipment found at these illegal mining sites and established. And this is where they make a very point I'm sure you may want to put to them later. The minority talks about they established a situation room with a call center to receive reports of illegal mining. This, they say, has now been repurposed or renamed as what we know as NIMOS now. And again, Akufo-Addo, they say, acquired 5 speedboats for the Navy, trained 2,000 river guards, recruited more mining inspectors, established small-scale mining committees in all 83 mining districts, again placed a ban on the sale and dealings in the floating platform popularly known as Chanfan, passed the Mineral and Mining Minerals and Mining Act, which talks about tracking of earth-moving and mining equipment. Again, established a control room in the Minerals Commission to monitor all tracked vehicles or equipment under this particular act. Again, organized training sessions for judges in mining areas to deal with some of these cases when they come to their court. So they essentially say that all of this meant that Akufo-Addo did far more better in dealing with this. And then they end their statement and says that it is becoming increasingly clear that the government of President Mahama has failed to demonstrate the level of resolve required to address the Galamsey crisis in a comprehensive and effective manner. As a result, the nation is facing escalating health and environmental dangers. They tell us that they are urging President Mahama and his government to move beyond rhetoric and demonstrate real political will. The fight against illegal mining can only be won through bold, consistent, and effective action. And then finally, he says that anything less will be a grave abdication of duty to the people of Ghana and the future generations. Fosti.
Thank you so much, Michael Ashali, just taking us through the key details of that statement put out by the minority. You can find the full version on myjournline.com. Well, thankfully, I have Akwasi Konadu. He's MP for Manhia North. He's also the deputy ranking member for the Lands and Natural Resources Committee. We appreciate your time here on Top Story. You had 8 years to deal with illegal mining. You failed. Isn't it double standards, really, for you to give an administration who have just taken office barely 9 months that burden to deal with illegal mining?
Ms. Sarfo, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. If you begin your conversation, or if you begin our conversation with, if we had 8 years, what did we do in the fight against illegal small-scale mining? I believe there ought therefore not to be any conversation on small-scale illegal mining activities and its impact on the Ghanaian people and the future generations that we do have. Why do we elect the government into power? It is because of what people believe that an administration is not able to do. That is why we vote people out of office and bring people to fulfill promises that they give to the ordinary Ghanaian and the citizens of this country. Illegal mining did not start with the last 8 years of His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo's regime. It started way back, culminating in 2010 and escalating in 2012, and we came to make it, made efforts at tackling that. And our efforts did not yield to the ending of small-scale mining, illegal small-scale mining activities were voted out, and another government is in power. So if you start a conversation with me and you ask me, why do we have to give the government in place now alternative solutions or even ask them to deal with it, then I believe there ought not to be a discussion. But be it as it may, that is where you would want to start it from, and that is not where I would want us to continue this conversation from. Do you believe that currently, as we live in this country, there is an escalation in illegal small-scale mining activities called Galamsey in this country?
It's not about what I believe, it's what is actually happening. And that's why this administration decided to engage CSOs on the way forward. You feel that meeting was needless?
I am glad it is not what you believe, but you acknowledge that small-scale illegal mining activities known as Galamsey is on the ascendancy, and that the president had the cause to call CSOs into a meeting. I call that a charade. The president would want to dodge from the basic and the fundamentals of fighting illegal small-scale mining activities to weigh off the pressures from his shoulders, therefore to look into the people and say, I am trying to do something, I have met the CSOs, I have put to them what I intend doing. What did the president and his government say on Friday? Let us go through what they said on Friday and juxtapose that and be candid and sincere to yourself that you see anything new that is so fundamental and specific to the fight against illegal small-scale mining activities in this country. He talked about wanting to declare some areas as security zones. You see, my sister, we're in this country when we were told that about 9 forest reserves were in the hands of armed thugs, and that has been recovered by the state machinery and the armed forces of this country, and therefore these 9 forest reserves are no more in their hands. Assuming that was even true, that means there were 9 forest reserves, and that in opposition, they called for a state of emergency to be declared with 9 forest reserves that were in the hands of same armed thugs. Currently, as we speak, go onto your own portal. 3 weeks ago, Kojo had the opportunity of having a discussion with the government spokesperson or the Minister for Government Communications by name Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye. And do you know what he told us? That there are 44 forest reserves in this country, that there is the need for them now to have a permanent military basis in these forest reserves. What does that tell you? That now 44 forest reserves are in the seat in this country, and that does not call for a state of emergency to be declared. My sister.
During your administration, CSOs, they kept pushing for your administration to declare that state of emergency. Now that you're in opposition, you agree?
Let me tell you, when we were in government, we said there were measures that we were putting in place to fight this small-scale illegal mining activity. First and foremost, if you go through the statement, we've given a litany of things that we did and a litany of things that the current government is also trying to do. Juxtapose that, even for what we were doing, now currently there are parts of it that they are not doing. That did not even satisfy them. You had 4 people that you can name offhand. You can name Honorable Okudeta Blaka, Honorable Sam George, Honorable Harun Edishi, and the current Lands and Natural Resource Minister, Honorable Kofi Amabua, telling us then that we should declare a state of emergency. Be that as it may, we did not, because we saw that the measures that we were putting in place were good enough in the long run to solve that. But they consistently kept on that pushing. The president himself says, what is stopping them from declaring that state of emergency now? You see, let us not go back and do that. Even if we want to go back, we can lay down the plans that we did and what we did in carrying that. Now, I tell you, the president told us that they were not interested in going after the small boys and the small fishes in the fight against illegal small-scale mining activities, and that he was going after the kingpins. And when he gets into government, what exactly has he done with going after the kingpins? That is the problem we have. My dear sister, the point is that currently as we speak, our water bodies, our forest reserves, the rate at which illegal small-scale mining activities are depleting these two, and even for water bodies, you are not even having water bodies in the country anymore. Let me give you a classical example. Just about a year and a half ago, there was no illegal small-scale mining activities in Nkoko, in Oda. Go there now and see. Okay. Go and look at the Chakwa enclave of our railway line. About 3 kilometers of that has been taken over by illegal small-scale mining activities, and you can see the rail line even taking off.
Akwasi, stay with me. Stay with me. Let me bring in Nanja Sanja. He is MP for Atebubu. Amanting and Vice Chair of Parliament Lands and Natural Resources Committee. He joins us via Zoom. I also have with me Dr. Kojo Impraim. He's Programs Director for Media for Peace and Social Cohesion Program for the Media Foundation for West Africa. I also have with me Awula, Director for Eco-Conscious Citizens Ghana. We appreciate your time, gentlemen and lady. I'll start with you, Mr. Nanja. You've just heard from the minority. They say that meeting with CSOs was simply needless, really. How do you respond to this as majority?
All right. Good evening, and let me extend my warmest greetings to your cherished listeners this evening. In the first place, the Galamsey fight from day one, we have said, is a collective fight, and we have stakeholders. You can't fight Galamsey alone. It is a problem of livelihood. So, and we need everybody on board, every stakeholder, including the academia and then the civil society organization. I think in an attempt to say that meeting was needless, it's one of the disregard of the MPP for Ghanaians, because now we have expert knowledge. We have CSOs who are dealing in Galamsey, and that meeting brought all of them together. Let us fight it together. I think when the president started, he said, I am determined, let us win this Galamsey fight together. And the president was clear in his mind that he's so determined. And a lot of measures have been put in place. I think that our brothers on the other side are just hammering on declaring state of emergency. I heard my brother talk of the declaring of state of emergency, and some forests, 9 forest reserves became no-go area and other things. Now we have declared, the government has declared a state of emergency. It's not state of emergency. Declare those areas as security zones. And if you don't have business doing, you don't go there. Recently, let us look at the things that are unfolding.
And that intervention really is short of what civil society have been pushing for, the declaration of a state of emergency.
Yes. They have been calling for state of emergency. But we think that we have other measures that can combat the Galamsey. And the president, when he met you people, the media, he mentioned that state of emergency will be the last resort. And the government has just been in government, the party has just been in government for only 9 months. And the 9 months, we can see some results. In the past, people were arrested, but they were not prosecuted. Today, people are standing trial. Today, we are bringing stakeholders. We are engaging all kinds of stakeholders.
Okay.
To find a solution to this problem. Forests, 44 forests that were being degraded because of Galamsey. Today, we are reclaiming those forests.
So you're working, simply put, you're working. Isn't that the case? Let me bring in Kojo at this point in time, Programs Director for Media, Peace and Social Cohesion at the Media Foundation for West Africa. We appreciate your time. You attended that meeting with CSO, and immediately after that meeting, you had your thoughts about how it all panned out. From where you sit, is dialogue the way forward?
Well, thank you, my dear sir and all the panelists. First of all, let me make some preliminary remarks and then I can answer your question. This public reaction is expected, whenever there's a major statement coming from the presidency with this public reaction. We don't need partisan approach at this time. The statement that was put up by the minority, signed by Honorable Impraim Sarfo, is needless. In that statement that your colleague read and I've just glanced through also online, it simply chronicles the problems and then the intervention that they put in place. My simple question as a development practitioner and policy, I will ask, did those interventions solve the problem? They have to answer that question. If I work with them, I will not mention all those operations. Starting from 2017, Operation Vanguard, then they moved to Operation Hot, Operation Galamsey Stop. Then they put up Interministerial Committee on illegal mining. The administration at the time completely rubbished that work that was done by Professor Frimpong Boateng. Today we have come to another bureaucracy where they have started up NAMOs. We don't need any partisan discussion again. NDC, NPP, hear us. We have said that with those partisan discussion of illegal mining. Where we need to move to is the solution spectrum. And that is what civil society and media Ghanaians are calling for. In any case, government is a continuum. And if NDC finds some wisdom in those interventions that were put together by the previous government, nothing stops them from going to those interventions. Because the government is a continuum. So and have a national consensus approach to solving the problem.
But
now,
Kojo,
let me come back to your question.
The bigger concern really is that at this point in time, is dialogue what exactly we need as a nation to deal with illegal mining?
Exactly my point. So we need a dialogue. We are putting together a national dialogue on 28th and 29th of this month to really bring all the stakeholders together, to grill ourselves and have a solution on the table. I still have my coming from last Friday by the president. We still think that we are not there yet in terms of solutions to the problem. Because I last the EPA board was on your show, and I'm putting up a figure, $200,000, for them to pilot intervention that will clean the water. We asked that question on Friday, and could you ask that question? They consider that figure. What has we Friday in the evening? They could put the figure together. I asked myself, I hope they were diligent and they did not put this figure for us. So Ghanaians are getting worried and they are angry in terms of really putting.
So you have questions, really. Kojo, you have questions. Really. You have to position rightly. I keep losing you intermittently. You have questions. And that's one of the key things that meeting with CSOs sought to deal with. After your meeting with the president, are you confident that this administration can deal with the illegal mining menace?
Studying the spectrum from to now, I still don't have expertise which is more convincing that the current administration can deal with the problem. Because there
Kojo, you have to reposition and make that point once again for me. And whilst you position yourself, let me bring in Awula Sewa. She's Director of Eco-Conscious Citizens Ghana. We appreciate your time here on Top Story. Kojo, whilst you position yourself to make that point for me, let me just move to Awula Sewa. Awula, first of all, did you attend this meeting with the CSOs?
Yes, I attended the meeting on Friday.
Based on your assessment, after listening to the presentation by all individuals available, do you agree with the minority and their statement that that meeting was needless?
Well, what I would say is that we've had a lot of dialogue under the old administration. Right now, what I would say is that the house is burning. The house is burning. We really need to put out the fire as a matter of extreme urgency. Civil society organizations have asked for a state of emergency. The president has said that he hasn't ruled it out, but we are not yet there. So the question is, when will we be there? What are the indicators that will show that we are there? Is it when, let's say, 100% of the water bodies have been poisoned? Is it when we all develop kidney disease? We need to know what the indicators are. And then what we need to also find out is that what exactly is the plan? Because when the house is burning, we need swift, robust action. So we have asked for a state of emergency. We are also saying that what are the KPIs for the NCEs, DCEs, and police commanders? Because we know as a fact that, for example, in Jema, there's no illegal mining. Precisely, there's none because the chief, the community led by Father Billy, have come together and have said we don't want mining of any sort. We are farmers and we want to preserve our water bodies and our rainforest. And we've succeeded.
But the president, during that meeting, just highlighted the reason why declaring a state of emergency at this point in time is not possible, because he says that he's receiving advice from national security, and national security tells him that they can't win the war without the declaration of a state of emergency.
Well, what
we're
saying is that, you see, the situation is urgent. The situation is urgent. Kidney disease has gone up 4 times. Water bodies have been contaminated. Water is life. Without water, we all die. Not everybody has the luxury of buying water from outside. Now, our foodstuffs have also been contaminated. The water has reached the food chain. Now, what we are saying is that if there are other measures, for heaven's sake, use those other measures. What have we been waiting for? Month 1, we were able to repeal e-levy, which did not cause an essential threat. We were able to get rid of the betting tax, which did not cause an existential threat. The ongoing ecocide is causing an existential threat. We will all cease to exist if we don't deal with it yesterday. So we have to deal with this ecocide urgently. And that's why I'm equating it to a fire situation where the house is burning.
So you still maintain that a declaration of a state of emergency is what we need?
Well, what we are saying is that if you say you have other measures, what are you waiting for? We don't have the luxury of time. Kidney disease has gone up 4 times. Water is life. Our water bodies are being poisoned. And you see, we heard the EPA director talk about piloting something which would cost 200,000. Even before you begin the pilot, you need to stop the ongoing ecocide. You can't have the pilot while the ecocide is ongoing. So we face an existential threat, and we need to appreciate the seriousness of the matter. If there are other measures we can employ them. All civil society wants is an end to the ongoing ecocide, an end to the existential threat we face. And let me add that just today, we got word that an excavator has reached Akwasi. Akwasi is a place where, without blue water guards, the community is trying to protect their stream, the pure Akwasi stream, the only source of drinking water in Akwasi. An excavator has gone there. NAMOS has been contacted. We are still waiting for them to get there.
Thank you so much.
That there's a matter of resources. So the whole aim of a state of emergency is also to help you to master all the resources you have.
Thank you, Awula. Let me bring in Kojo at this point in time. I'm told I have clearer connection to you, Kojo. I was just finding out from you, after that meeting with the president, are you confident that this administration can deal with illegal mining?
I am not confident. I must be honest with you, because my confidence level will be based on the trajectory of the solution on the table. Now, they are all repeating the same bureaucratic mechanism of solving illegal mining. We saw NICO is a new vehicle of Operation Vanguard, a new vehicle of Operation Horse. Name them. All those were set up. All those task forces have failed. So NIMOS is not going to be the magic wand. We take away the big stages who are the politicians. Just to that, we need to get them, those guys, out of illegal mining, and we can only do so when we have a very tough statutory mechanism that can investigate and deal with those people. So to get that spectrum, I believe we can win the fight. But
thank you so much. Kojo, I have to let you go at this point in time. Let me just wrap up. Just 30 seconds each from Nanja and also the minority. Nanja, 30 seconds. Your final words.
My dear, you see, all that you are saying, I've heard and listened. You see, the problem is not about the measures. The problem is about determination and political will. Yes, other committees were formed and failed. Number is formed, but the president is assuring us of his political will and determination, in which laws will be enforced. Stakeholders will be engaged. There are areas in this country. Let's take the Goma area, for instance.
Had time for that, but then your point is well noted. You have the political will to deal with this. Akwasi, 20 seconds. Please wrap up for me.
Thank you very much. You see, initially my brother Kojo tried to downplay and say the statement was needless, but ended up as participants of the CSO's engagement by telling me that he actually did not find it necessary and any measure that is so important being said by the president now to fight against the small-scale illegal mining activities in this country. And that is the point we are trying to reiterate. The same effort that we are putting in place, that they condemned, criticized, and said was needless and we could not fight it, and therefore we should declare a state of emergency. You are continuing with that. We are telling you, you are even not doing it right, and therefore, for us to be able to fight it, put that ban, a state of emergency on it, so that we can have a plateau and work towards it from there. And we are just denying that, and we are just making a facade of trying to meet people and tell them we have the political. The political will is to go by the mandate that the people gave to you, based on the promises that you gave to them, and not to go about renaming, rehashing the same old stories in your mind.
Thank you so much.
They don't have the political will.
Thank
they
you
are
so
only
much.
using that to
We
finance
appreciate
the
your
economy.
time here on Top Story. My name is Fostina Sarfo, and that's how I wrap up Top Story. Up next is News Night.